Hey, cheers.
Cheers. Hey guys, it's Caroline Raffetto back with another podcast at CFMA Annual here in Phoenix. This is a really special episode. I think you guys have noticed we have some beverages here and we're going to get right down to it. So this is Ryan from Wipfli. Ryan, how you doing?
Fabulous. This is the Mecca we've been talking about.
I know. I think I called it the Met Gala once, and I think by this outfit, I think I might have been right.
Yeah, so I mean everybody's going to know that I didn't unfortunately show up with this, but you were gracious enough to do the hot swap, and I'm jealous. So now you're
awesome. Well, let's get right into it. You know, this conference is filled with CFOs, controllers, and we were talking earlier, and a big part of their job within their company is deciding on technology.
That's right.
How have you been seeing that kind of play out at this conference?
Yeah. For years, I've been surprised by kind of the ratio of programming around technology for the CFOs being honestly kind of light, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But then watching the expo hall become something that was initially some technology players to just purely technology. Like, that's a signal that I just don't think that is quite talked enough about. So I actually joined the Education Steering Committee just this year, just kind of crossed the 1 year mark on that, and we're talking about two things along those lines. So one of them is that if we're talking about how we're helping education play out in terms of the mechanisms that you use to make education easier and more simple. AI is going to have an effect on that, right? We all are using ChatGPT and the like as a resource to try and learn quicker, and I'm sure it's affecting all of us in that way. But then there's this whole thing, like you said, CFO is the technology leader in the majority of these construction companies. And so if CFMA almost exists to make them as effective as they can be, CFMA then better be pretty darn focused with its content on AI readiness. And so what I find interesting is, the Expo Hall is just a part of what the annual convention is. We've got sessions, we've got the big main stage elements to it, and I'm seeing technology weave into every part of it, and I'm seeing the conversations that are just happening in the hallways. People are talking about their token spend. They're talking about what they're changing from a talent perspective. So it's way more than what tools are we buying. It's how are we changing our priorities as a department and not just finance and accounting function, because that's kind of just what they are. That's just where the technology expertise for that function lives. I don't know, are you seeing the same?
I'm seeing the same thing, and one interesting thing I notice is we all hear the phrase that, construction industry is a little bit slower to adopt that technology. Seeing this conference, seeing this room of exhibitors, I beg to differ. I think we are getting on that train now, and we are adopting because, companies are realizing just how much more efficient this technology is making them, how much more compliant it's making them, how much time, money, everything it's saving them.
2017 is when I went all in on construction tech, and I joke now, it's easy to say because no one can validate this, that was before construction tech was cool. What I can say for certain is that there were peers of mine inside of our own firm that were concerned that we were making a bet on a space that wasn't going to invest in technology.
Okay.
I just had this hunch that technical debt that had accrued was going to come due, and that folks were going to have to start to prioritize it. And it's a whole series of things, right? Hardware got better, phones and tablets got better, and mobile web got better. So there's a whole bunch of, we're standing on the shoulders of some, giants that came before us that solved some problems that needed to be solved for tech to work for construction. And so I think that's a part of it, but then there's also just this change of guard from leadership is getting younger, and so there's a workforce that's demanding it. I'd say the biggest thing that I see is there's this example of somebody leaves a big name firm in Chicago and goes to another big name in Chicago, and it's a bigger name, and they expect that their experience is going to be greater. If you're a project manager, your compensation often depends on the profitability of your jobs.
Yes.
It's kind of easy to picture this example of I am a PM, I log into my computer, it's not the nicest computer, I get on the VPN, I get into the virtual machine, I load the report server, it takes a couple minutes to load the report, and then the data is a week or two old, and it's I am not going to be able to be successful in literally what I am here to do with this tech. And so naturally, when these folks are walking around hearing people within these different vendor booths that we're looking at here, or at these sessions hearing that some organizations have figured it out, there is is going to be an influence on this talent war. Right? These folks are going to vote with their feet by either buying a solution or a set of projects that are going to move the ball forward, or by just modernizing their organization. I think that's what's happening at the CFMA convention in a way that it's not like there is a really great construction tech convention out there. Like Procore's Groundbreak is one of them, but I'm pretty jazzed to see the CFOs all kind of voting with their feet and saying tech is what we're here to talk about.
So I have a big question for you next, and it's probably the hardest question I'm going to ask you. What's next? What is next for AI technology?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think the last couple of years, the theme has been, let's make sure we get all of our data into cloud systems so that we can get them all into a place where the agent, let's say the chatbots can actually access them. Because if we've got an on-prem system where the database is pure, file-based or purely SQL-based, we're kind of working hard to make sure that if I'm in Claude or ChatGPT or whatever harness or bot I'm using can access that. But that's still a read-only situation. Okay, it can answer questions for me. But if I want to go take action, what am I doing? I'm pulling out my phone, I'm either making a phone call or shooting a Teams message fix this, to whomever it might be. What's next, for sure, I believe is a pretty foregone conclusion, is having the agent harness not just be able to access the context of all of my data in my systems, but having right access to be able to go do the work in those systems, right? So about the concept of an MCP server. I know you guys are developing them. And so it's being able to take action inside of the systems so that I don't need to always be pinging people to go take the action, but to actually see to it that can be done on my behalf. This is work that isn't, people aren't going to be missing these couple of manual tasks that they were having to do in the past. They're going to be jazzed.
We're not going to need interns anymore.
So we want the interns, we want to teach, we want to show the interns, right, what it is that adds value in this organization. And we used to show them creating PowerPoint decks added value, scheduling meetings added value, formatting this Excel, making copies, going to get his coffee. Okay, good, get his coffee. We can't solve that yet with the robots entirely. Now we get to teach the interns what adds value, and maybe we'll still create some busy work for them just for fun, but most of the professional staff that are expensive and demand a good employee experience can shift
and that's
away.
really cool, because that's also going to give this younger generation that's coming into this industry
Start over with that's really cool.
That's really cool, because it's going to give all these young kids that's going to come into this industry, a chance to develop their skills, develop their career sooner and further than just menial tasks.
I think so.
They're going to be learning. They're going to be focusing on the things that matter.
I think so. We've always needed to worry about whether calculators or typewriters or word processing programs were going to have some detrimental effect on the youth, on the workforce. We figured out how to navigate those situations and help these folks still be productive members of society. We're going to have a more important challenge now ahead of us. But the amount of white-collar work that exists and has become busy work versus what are construction companies here to do? They're not here to purely count debits and credits and to build reports. They're here to build buildings. They're here to, what I think is so fun is, we're at the JW Marriott here in Phoenix, right? And if you zoom out and you're just looking at Google Maps, you see that what surrounds this is kind of vacant land in most directions.
Totally vacant.
This was just this desert patch, 10 years ago, and then someone had the will. They were able to put together a deck to convince the capital to come together with the architects, with the builders, to come create this facility. And this is, there's a golf course, there's a water park, there's all of this, conference square footage, and the hospitality and the hotel and the bars and restaurants. And it's this was created from nothing, just from some people that could put together a darn good slide deck, and a financial model that said this is going to work.
I love a darn good slide deck. Let
That's
me
the
tell
power.
you, I love them.
That's the power of these Gen AI tools, I think, is being able to create something out of nothing, right? Like just getting some people organized, getting them together to go create something that was basically otherwise infeasible. So that's what CFMA is all about.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to see what's in store for the future of our industry and watching you on your journey and, taking AI and CFMA to the next level.
Thank you guys for doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Thanks for joining me on CO Pod After Dark. We'll catch you guys next time.